We're here to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, launched last night. Episode 1, Strangers in a Strange Land. A great episode to start it out on. I've seen a lot of people in, online and everything saying like they were like, oh, well, you had to watch Return of the Jedi to get a lot of this. And I'm like,
no, you don't.
I'm like,
no.
Well, one, if you haven't watched Return of the Jedi,
where you been?
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Okay.
Why are you here?
And if you haven't, then it's a great jumping off point. But like, I don't know what the crap's going on. I guess I need to go watch the other stuff.
Yeah.
Murdoch said, "No, you didn't. Why are you here? Why are you watching this show?" But a lot of people jumped on. Bees talked about it. She jumped into Star Wars because of the Mandalorian and everything.
A lot of people did.
So it's a great way to get more people into the show as a whole. And I think the first episode puts a lot of questions in your mind more than answers a lot of things. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So this is going to be non-spoiler. We're just going to kind of go through it and everything. Derek, what did you think about the first episode?
Well, before I get to that, to go on Murdoch's thing, the theme for that was a banger. I'm just going to say that, definitely a nice contrast to Mandalorian theme.
No, he's saying he's disappointed with the Boba Fett soundtrack. He likes Mandalorian, but he doesn't like.
Oh yeah, I like the theme. It was like Mando is more like a fanfare. Boba Fett's more like smooth jazz.
We got a lot more like Mongolian throat singing. I know Trey was like, must have been like,
yeah,
no.
I was all about it. I was all about it, man. I ate that crap up.
But no, I thought it was a good first episode. It's definitely a stronger first one. Like, it's on the same thing for me as Mando first episode. Because you got those now the whole episode wasn't a banger. Like, it had a solid opening, solid ending, and some good middle, but there was some stuff like to me, like just a nitpick, some of the dialogue felt stiff in certain places, especially on Boba's side. And there was a thing like, I guess, I'm not going to get it. I know we're not going to get spoilers, but there was a minor thing. There was a thing where they're fighting people, and like he kills one of them, and he's like, and he looks at Fennec and is like, "Bring him alive." I'm like, well, you just could have kept that one alive. Like, why did you shoot him?
No, Derek, you only need one. You only need one. Kill everybody else. You only need one.
That was the nearest. He could have just let him live and like Fennec just pull him down.
He wanted to kill all of the rest of them. See, you don't get the mentality, Derek. You don't get the mentality.
I guess not. I'm just a filthy casual over here.
That's why you're not a major domo. I'm just saying.
but no, I mean, to not get into too much, obviously, the beginning has stuff that Star Wars fans have been wanting for a long time. Has been they wanted answers, and they got some in the beginning. Now, and then of course, like I said, at the end, the end sequence was intriguing. In terms of like what all was going on. Like that last end fight was epic. Like as soon as like they're digging in the sand, and you see that, and I'm just like, oh, I know what this is. But or I know what this is going to be. But overall, it was a solid first episode. I know Dave Filoni stuff has been known to, he's universe building. Like he doesn't always, throw his perfect curveball in the first episode. He lets you build up over time. He does what the MCU does over years in a season. He lets it slow build and does payoffs and whatnot. But it's definitely better than like the start of Clone Wars and Rebels for me.
Oh yeah, 100%. Trey, what did you think?
Yeah, definitely a lot of things Derek said, but like I had a bit of a concern at the very beginning. Like I watched, like at the beginning, I just had this quick flash like, oh God, what if this whole first season is just what happened since Return of the Jedi, and we don't even get him sitting down in the chair at the end of Mandalorian until the end of the season. And I was like, oh God, this is going to lose so many people if it does that. But it didn't. It had like a nice little back and forth kind of feel.
Yeah.
This is what I'm remembering. This is what's going on now kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, thank God Favreau paid attention to that at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of built that back and forth tension. And so I was kind of invested in what essentially was the same storyline, but it was 2 points of the story.
Yeah.
And I was going back and forth, and it was about that nice mug flex there, buddy. I just saw it in the thing with your Boba Fett mug. Yeah. But yeah, I like the back and forth, and yeah, I agree about the dialogue. In some areas, it was sort of like you could tell somebody hasn't acted in a while. But but also, if you think about it, Boba Fett, yeah, I think in the original 2 movies that he was in, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, he had 4 lines of dialogue total.
Right.
Yeah.
4. He had maybe 3 minutes of screen time total. So they may be trying to go for this like very rarely spoken westerny,
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, very Clint Eastwoody. Like, I don't say much, but when I do, you listen.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. And that's kind of what Favreau and Filoni have been doing with this whole Mandalorian and now Boba Fett, this, capital M Mandalorian lore that they're building, is that it's not always about how much is being said, it's the impact of when something is said.
Yeah.
Right.
But that being said, you can't necessarily have a whole show, a whole 6-episode story arc with very little dialogue. Not from Boba Fett. We've been waiting for a long time for Boba Fett to get his story out there. So I'm interested to see kind of what he's going to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, like Trey and I, we're huge on the legend side of things and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see this juxtaposed to what it was in the EU side of things, like seeing him, the very beginning, how all of that plays out. I'm trying not to be spoilery, Dan. I'm trying to be non-spoilery. Like after episode 1, like I think we're just gonna have to just like talk about it openly and everything.
I think because this is
really difficult. But after that opening sequence and everything, I was like, man, this is gonna be dope. Like I called it. Derek even said he's like, you called this beforehand. I knew it was gonna happen. But the jumping back and forth reminds me, I've just been watching Daredevil, season 1 of Daredevil over on Netflix. And as it's further into the season, it's about halfway through, you start having flashbacks with Wilson Fisk to explain a lot of the things. So you're going through a day with him, like a part of his story, but you're also seeing him like jump back and forth. And it kind of reminded me of that. I was literally watching that episode today, and I was like, okay, Daredevil did a little bit better job of it, in my opinion, but I think overall, like, this is really done well. Another thing that I feel like a lot of people don't respect Boba Fett, in his new position.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
you definitely see that, especially with that one guy.
Yeah.
Dan, you need to go ahead and get another subscription to Disney Plus. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean,
or share it with somebody.
It's worth it once a year when they put out a Disney, a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, exactly. Overall, though, I think it was shot really well. Yes, there, like some of the action felt a little, not necessarily stilted, but it was just like, what are you doing? Like that's what it felt to me. It's like, I was like, use your weapons, like the things you've got,
especially in the marketplace battle.
Yeah, I was like, use your weapons. Like, what is this?
What I liked about that, yeah, really. What I liked about that marketplace scene in particular is that choreography, they weren't trying to go graceful with it.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they try to do this, which, I get it. If you're doing Star Wars, you think combat, you think either pew pew pew, or you got lightsabers, and it's very flowy and elegant and fencing style. These are
brutal
assassins and killers. I mean, these are not flowy people. It's beat the other guy to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that he was like taking a lot of those hits, and he just like was at one point like, "Grr," and then he was just like,
Yeah.
So it felt different, but in a good way, because I was like, it's not flippy and all these other kinds of whoosh, look at me dodging things. It's just, nope, I'm about to get hit in the face, and then I'm going to hit you in the face, and then we're going to rinse and repeat.
It's like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very Fight Clubby.
Boba Fett is not flowy. That's the quote from Trey. It's also interesting. It's pulling from Mandalorian here. We see the Mandalorian, how, Din Djarin and everything, how he is able to communicate with specific tribes and everything, and like it's not a kill on sight, how with like most people. I wonder, with Boba Fett, does that open that up for Din Djarin down the road? It's like, oh, we know someone like you type deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to be fair, like, and this is not spoilery, obviously, this has been discussed when they announced all these shows, but that the Book of Boba, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and I forget what else, but there's one other show is all going to be in some kind of connected universe. They're trying to do the MCU with this.
Yeah. Well, Dan said that.
So it's possible.
Dan said he's muting. So good job, Dan, because this has been difficult. So that part where Darth Vader steps out.
He's in that hallway. And
So now that Dan and anyone else that's spoiler, this is spoiler territory now. We can't do this. It's super hard.
Ooh.
It's too hard, man.
It's too hard.
I feel like I'm not saying anything, and it's like, because I don't feel like I can.
I know. So real quick, let's just run through the cool parts for me. Okay.
All right.
The Sarlacc pick, my lord.
Thank you. Thank you. Number one.
Right.
Like
number one.
I'm so glad.
Because
I think they talked about it in the comics, but seeing it in real life form is great.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and what's funny is I saw a TikTok. I might even pull it up later. It's literally Patton Oswalt talking, and he was like, Tatooine. Suddenly, pan down. There's the Sarlacc pit. A hand burst out of the sand as he claws out of the sand.
The beast.
Like.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and like,
I mean, it was frame by frame.
Yeah, I know. It was so good. But that moment right there, it was like, okay, this sets the tone of the show. It's like these are the questions you want answered.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Derek, what was we got the Sarlacc, so you got to pick something else.
So I did like when they're doing the tribute thing, like in the thing, and that guy comes in, is like, the mayor wishes, is apologizing for not being here, and we do not bring tribute, but we want tribute from you. I'm like, man, this guy is pompous as all get out. Like,
man.
He had the bollocks on him. Like, seriously.
It's his last name, Fortuna. I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, like that. I feel that the mayor is gonna at some point in time.
So has there been? Have y'all seen the rumors going around about who the mayor might be?
No.
Jar Jar Binks.
So I please no.
I
did see a random one.
Sebulba?
I don't think it could be. Sebulba. I've seen Sebulba was like the random one. I'm like, no, there's no way.
He's too stupid to be the mayor.
No, I want it to be Watto.
Man, Watto is the best character out of Star Wars, hands down, 100%. Interesting about the tribute, the droid that is presenting is also in episode 6. It's the droid that was like torturing the other droids in episode 6.
Oh yeah.
And I noticed that, and I was like, dang, man.
Yeah. And he's played by Matt Berry, which is from IT Crowd. He was Denim.
And then the guy, I think, was it the guy who played the torture box? Because there was a guy who from What We Do in the Shadows, I think was the guy.
That's him.
I got you. Yep. Yeah.
I know him from IT Crowd. I don't.
Yeah.
Father!
What else I was gonna say? Oh, do we know do now I'm asking you two because
Mm.
you're way more deep in Star Wars stuff than I will ever be. Um, the group that attacked them in the marketplace, do we know who they are? And then in the flashback toward the end, where he goes to like this hut, like where the sand person takes him to that hut, and they you see him like graffiti the thing. Do we know either of those groups who they are?
It's a chieftain one.
Okay.
No, I don't know who they are.
Way to go, Zach. Just made us look like those nerds.
No, I'm not sure who they are. To be honest, maybe
I mean, I always want to throw out Black Sun, but it's an easy one.
yeah.
I
feel
but
like it might be like someone like it reminds me of like Dark Jedi attacking you on Tatooine in KOTOR 1. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
because I read something where the group that graffitis the hut in the flashback and the group that attacked him in the marketplace aren't related. Like they're two different groups. So I didn't know if they had any significance to either one of you two or not.
Well, I think what all that has to do with is, they're setting up this whole Boba Fett standalone, underbelly mafia shootout at the OK Corral kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking they're just setting up the different factions of the show. Like you're going to have Boba Fett and his stuff, and then you're going to have, the mayor obviously and his stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think these are just going to be other factions where I think the people that attack them are actually one of the factions that were trying to
fight for Jabba's seat.
Yeah, either that or try to just get rid of Bib Fortuna altogether.
Right.
And so now they're like, you freaking just roll up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's kind of what I think.
I got an idea on who it might be.
Okay.
Back to season 2 of The Mandalorian, when he's on Tatooine, the other guy's got the armor and everything. He is like the mining company or whatever. It might be them.
Okay.
Could be.
Now, you talking about for the flashback or the marketplace attack?
The flashback.
Got you. Yeah, that part would make sense.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that I've got, because it's like it could be just like leftovers of Jabbas that are just pillaging, because when crime bosses like die or whatever, like their underlings are just kind of free to do whatever. So
right.
Yeah.
One nitpicky thing I was just going to bring up that I wanted to get
Trey
you guys'
Let Trey. What was your favorite part?
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
I'm just here to talk Star Wars, I don't really care. I'll talk about it whatever. But no, I mean, barring the two things that you guys just talked about, when they're in the flashback and the little youngling sand creature, the sand person is like, dig for water, and he's like, all right, fine. And then that I'm gonna embarrass myself in front of Zach. He was a Trandoshan, wasn't he?
He was a Rodian.
It was a Rodian, that's right. The Rodian is sitting there digging. First of all, screw that guy. That Rodian was a
right.
joke. I mean, screw that guy.
B said, okay, but suction cups guy.
Hashtag screw suction cups guy. Okay, sorry, B. You don't sound the alarm and then think we're gonna be buddies. Yeah. And then he got what he deserves.
That's not how this works.
He's digging, and he's like, oh, this isn't a water pod that grows randomly in the desert. I don't know what that was about. But yeah. And then he was like, oh, this looks like scales. Surely this isn't dangerous. I'm gonna keep going. I'm literally sitting there going, you freaking idiot! You freaking idiot! Get out of there!
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yes. And then Emily's like, what is this? And I'm like, it could be a crate dragon, but I doubt it because it doesn't look big enough. Yeah. And then it came out and it's this whole new creature we haven't seen. Yeah. And I was like, oh, snap.
I was like, what the crap is this?
Yeah, it's like a weird reptilian centaur thing, and it destroys Suction Cup guy.
Yeah, wrecked his house. 100%.
Holds him with one set of arms and then just beats the dog. Like, it was very Goro from Mortal Kombat,
But Suction Cup guy deserved that. One cool thing, and I'll let Derek go to his nitpicky thing, was when like Boba Fett got one of the things and like he like started drinking from it, and the kid came over like hit him, and he like grabbed it. He was like calm down, youngling.
Right. And then he feeds it to the little attack dog. I'm like, man, that's a big, screw you moment.
Yeah, definitely. But that was cool. He just like caught it. He was like, you don't want to you don't want to mess with me. So Derek, what was your nitpicky moment?
So this is very nitpicky for me, but how did we feel about the new look for the pig guards? Because to me, it looked a little cheap.
They introduced that in Mandalorian, season 2, specifically like the opening episode. They don't look as like dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it's because it's way easier to wear that and move around and do their job and all of these things. But yeah, okay, Trey.
Let's think about this for a second. The problem everyone had with the Gamorreans in the Mandalorian is that they were cut. They were like chiseled. And everyone's like, what the heck is up with that? That's making people feel weird things. They don't want to talk about it. They're like, ah. But you got to think about it. They even said those 2 Gamorreans served Jabba the Hutt and Bib Fortuna, which means they had been there for a while. Think about it. What's the cushiest job you could get on Tatooine? The front door guard at Jabba's palace.
Right.
No one just walks up there unless you're Luke Skywalker wanting to start some crap, you know? And then you literally just sit there and eat like a pig.
Yeah.
So I think it was cool that they got a couple of fat dudes, painted them green, and said, here, put this pig head on and take a knee when he tells you to. I thought it worked. I was like, hey, good for them guys. I'm now wondering how long Gamorreans live, because my God.
No,
but,
the 2 at the front got choked out. Like, I think they died.
Yeah.
Did they die or did they just get like current, you know?
Well, he had a lot of Gamorrean guards. So
he did.
That's also true.
This could be, these are the ones that like to, lift weights and pump iron and all of that. And
obviously not.
Yeah.
It'd be worth going back and looking at, but like you said, nitpicky things.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's an easier design to go with, other than, the heavy, like it still has some prosthetics and everything, but it's still like this is probably way easier for the people that have to wear it every time they're on screen, and it looks like they're going to be integral to the show. Like I was like, and even Shan, what is it? Fennec. She was like, that's a bad decision. And then when they get into the crap and everything, they actually help Boba. And I was like, okay,
they jump in.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this like, and then bringing him to the back to Bath, which that was dope that he has his own back to thing. And like, because you saw in the Mandalorian, he still looked all messed up. And then in this, like he looked more normal. He wasn't all like, Sarlacc spit face and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings another question. You said, he did help them, but do we think that's going to last forever? Because, like Fennec said, it's like, when you work for a criminal empire and you give these people that were under this old, regime a chance, like, all right, you can either die or you can serve me. And it's like, well, I'm going to live. So, but, those may not always be the most trustworthy people. So do you think that'll come back to bite them later in the show? Or do you think they're just going to be like, a minor role throughout the whole thing?
I think they're going to be a minor role.
Okay.
Yeah.
They may be his stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Also true.
Just his goofy little comic relief that may do stuff here and then, but that's what I'm kind of thinking they're going to be his stormtroopers, because he has to build from the ground up, and you usually get a second, third banana character that sticks with you the whole time, and but also you got to think about like the Star Wars fandom will not let you deviate from the source material too much.
Right.
They will not. Like if you change it too much, they will raise every empire they know against you.
Yep.
So I think they're going to try to stick to that as much as they can. I don't think the Gamorreans are going to be anything too in depth or specific.
Yeah.
What I'm worried about with that though is I was kind of hoping. I mean, let's break it down here. Boba Fett, I'm sorry for everybody, is a bad guy.
Yeah.
He is not a hero. He is a villain. He is a villain. Okay, let's not forget that.
Anti-hero at best.
At best, on a good day, if he remembered to go to church, like it's just, it's Easter and he's feeling guilty,
Right.
So, I don't want them, because I see it a lot in a lot of things these days. They're trying to go back and rewrite villains and give them a redeeming story arc.
Yep.
No. Let him be a bad guy. Let him be a bad guy. That's why when they had the Gamorreans, when they were like, you should torture them and send a message to everybody else, I really wanted him to be like, all right, fight. Winner gets to stay in my employ,
Right.
Kill the other one. Get it. And I would be like, that would have been a flex, and that would have been awesome. But he didn't do that, and now that's when I was like, oh no. And then he was like, I will not rule with fear, I will rule with respect. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
Right.
So I'm a little worried about all of that, because I'm sorry, I don't care how much of a hero he is to you, Boba Fett's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. He's becoming a crime lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
One quick thing on your point, Trey. He did see Jabba waste a lot of talent because of his anger. So he could have been like, okay, if I ever get in that position, I would never waste talent that I could turn to something loyal. That's the only thing that I could see would be like the only way. It's like, okay, yes, he's not a bad guy, but he is also trying to build his empire. So you've got two Gamorreans that are going to be loyal right there, ready to do whatever you want. So
yeah. He is starting from nothing.
Yeah. I love that it was they made the mention of like they need a protocol droid to like translate for them and everything. I love that little bit. And then the Trandoshan bringing in a Wookiee pelt as tribute.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
I was like, that hurts. That's hurt somebody feels.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to take a comment from chat. B says they remind talking about the Gamorreans. They remind me of the Power Ranger monsters, like when they make the school bullies pigs. Am I remembering that wrong? Probably. I think Bulk and Skull. I think there was an episode that they got made into pigs and everything. So
yeah,
100%. Real quick, we're gonna put this out here, and we can kind of land the plane on episode 1 of this. He is trying to build his empire and everything, and we see the disrespect from the mayor, and then he does go to a location in Mos Espa to meet somebody. I can't remember her name and everything, and it was just kind of like oh yeah, you're the new guy. Like it was very like, let's get you out of my business here. Like you're nothing.
Right. It's like, I got my eye on you.
Yeah.
Here's your money, go.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't a lot either, you know what I mean? It was just like,
no, it wasn't.
Well, and she was dropping like subtle like jabs, like, oh well, Jabba came in walking on a little like he was carried everywhere, and he walked around with his head held high, and it's like, here you are just being a filthy casual walking into my fine establishment. I'm like, first of all, calm down. Like,
yeah, he was also
you don't
like,
know what this man can do.
Over 1,000 pounds and a slug.
Yeah,
right, 100%.
You know,
and you run a backwater gambling den on Mos Espa. Okay, like for real.
I will say,
you're not bougie.
Mos Espa looks way better than Mos Eisley.
Oh God,
right?
Like it was like, this looks a lot better than that cesspool.
It looks like people actually live there.
Yeah. So predictions for let's make some predictions for the show. What do you think the show is going to be necessarily about? What do you think the arc's going to be?
I'll let you go, Trey.
All right. So I think what this whole show is going to be about is going to be the actual story of Boba Fett. If you think about it, like I said earlier, Boba Fett originally had 4 lines of dialogues, maybe 3.5 minutes of screen time. Other than that, we've got nothing. And now with the new canonization, we've got even less than nothing. We're back to 4 lines of dialogue and 3.5 minutes of screen time. So if you think about it, Boba Fett was not galaxy famous. He was not this big, bad, wonderful, Yeah, we have made him the mythos, the greatest bounty hunter to ever live. But in the Star Wars galaxy, he's nobody. And he's
Right.
just the clone of an idiot who made some money with some Kaminoans back in the day. You
Right.
know? That's all he is. So this is going to be the actual establishing of the Boba Fett legacy because he's not at his strongest right now. I think part of the reason he had the back to tank is that he's not 100%. He kind of got his
Right.
butt handed to him in that fight because he's not 100%. So he has to go through his own little hero's journey to actually become something worth being feared in the galaxy. That's what I think this whole first season's going to be about.
Yeah. So, and for me to go off of that, it will be, of course, you know, but I think it'll be his not rise to power, but I think it'll show his road to, like, he has this vision, like when I don't think he fully grasps yet, and we see that in episode 1, what it's going to take to be this crime syndicate overlord. And he's going to learn, he's going to take his lumps of coal, as we saw in episode 1, you know, going to the BAFTA tank there at the end. And I think we're going to see like him struggle. Like, I think we're going to see like he's going to try and get to power, but I think we're going to see his journey there. Now, will he be ruling the throne by the end of it? I don't know, but I think it's going to be the struggle to see what he has to deal with, the ups and the downs, and who he's going to have. Because as we see, not everyone respects him. Not everyone takes him seriously, and I think it's going to show like what it's going to put him through the ringer to earn this respect he wants to get.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope that we do get some more flashbacks throughout the show, but I don't want it to be so much that we don't progress the story further.
Right.
Because like that first episode, I feel like we got more flashback than we did present day, which is, you know, again, answering questions that we want to know. But if that is going to be the pervasive thing throughout the rest of the show, I think that we've got to be careful of like slowing down the progression of him building his empire and everything. You know, I think we'll see some more characters that we know throughout the rest of this. Like, I think, you know, not just like little cameos. Like, I think we might see like Dengar. We might see Bosk show up. You know, like some really cool characters that, you know, Boba Fett has been around. You know, maybe, you know, Bosk's father that runs that bounty hunter guild that Boba Fett was in. You know, like there could be so many different things. There could be some more Hutts that get involved in this. You know, there are a lot of different things. But I think the overlying thing is he's not going to be respected, and he's going to have to earn the respect. And he's also going to have to come to terms that sometimes you just got to break a few eggs to get what you want. So that's what I think. So there you go, guys. There is our discussion for Strangers in a Strange Land, episode 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. Go check it out if you haven't already. We've described it not with any spoilers and then with spoilers, which made it much more interesting conversation.
It's really just going to boil down to, all right, here's our spoiler-free review. Go watch Book of Boba Fett, and now the spoilers.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. Derek, Trey, enjoyed it, my friends. Always. Y'all have a great rest of your week. This has been Zach, Derek, and Trey. Boy, I'm gonna say it for you. Y'all have a blessed week.